contractor says there's no delay. You're the client, you're looking on the project, everything's running fine. The report is saying it's all fine, it's all fine, it's all fine. Next thing there's a big delay. We need an extension of time. And you're going, but last week you were telling me there was no delay, and now you're saying there's an extension of time requirement or claim coming in. What the hell happened? Only in that period did we actually update the schedule in relation to what we have now completed, and it's telling us, well, we're delayed in all these areas. Why didn't anybody kind of inform us over the previous 6 months that was coming,
That's a really interesting point, because I think there are a few reasons why this happens. The biggest is if I'm reporting something on a P6, or if I'm reporting my costs or whatever it is I'm reporting, I'm usually doing it on an aggregate level. What you're not really doing is reporting things on a component and on granular level, which means first there is interpretation along the way. Second, I actually don't really know what's happening. And that lends itself to many different problems. So I'll give you an example. A lot of my work was initially in oil and gas. And when you're reporting progress for piping, you're doing it on the basis of inch dia. So what would happen is my incentive is to get that number as high as possible because I'm being measured against the total number of inch dia I have. Which then means I will prioritize my bigger spools over my smaller ones. Now that's great because I get to 90% progress very, very quickly. The problem is I still need to spend a lot of time in the last 10% in order for me to be able to do anything on my project. And that's what happens. People report things that will give them the upfront
cash flow, or time flow, or whatever the case may be.
And they will, and which is suboptimal because every one of the trades is effectively then doing that. And then you get into this mess at the end of the project where no one has really done the things that are needed in order to actually deliver it. Yes, incentives is a big part of it, but I think if we move away from high-level reporting and start evidencing and using data, so when you're telling me that this is 46% complete as far as your design activities go, this is because you've delivered X number of models or drawings which have this status as a result of which we know we can calculate that to be 46%. And that's what I think we're really missing.
Especially in the pre-construction. During construction, I think there's a possibility, but in pre-construction, you'd be surprised the amount of people we've interacted with that actually don't know what type of information is going to be delivered when during the design stage. And that's a real problem because we often hear, especially in the carbon question now coming in, but we need to know what HVAC units you're using at REBA stage 1. And you're going, well, if you follow natural design progression, we're not going to know that until much later in the design process. So how can we possibly bring that forward when we need to do all the other steps first before we can get to that step? It's not like we can skip a whole bunch and then decide what we're going to be doing within, operationals at such an early stage in the project. But tracking that and tracking the fact that payment to document submittal is I think for clients super important because it's telling you whether your consultancy or design consultant are actually doing what they said they were doing. And then your review tells them whether the quality is there or not. And we see that in a lot of times in projects that's missed completely because people don't understand. They don't understand that this is the level of information I should be getting or am getting on this stage. Big opportunity in the pre-construction stage, I would say.
100%. To be honest, like even if you think about handover, right? It's the exact same thing. Yeah. And that's why, one of the mistakes I used to do was I focused too much on the how, which is the information delivery plan. But if you think about it, everything that happens in a project has some information associated with it, and it has to be delivered. It's the same thing in design as it is in handover. And when I speak to a lot of our clients who are contractors or designers, everyone is going, sometimes it feels like we're just shooting in the dark throughout the project. And at some point, we need to go, what did we actually do? And they start, in many ways, investigating what work they had actually done in order to then give it to the client. And
our prove value often is what it is, we've submitted, but is that in accordance with our contract? Oh, actually, let's check the contract to see what we should have done. Have we done what we should have done? It takes a whole bunch of administration to actually, again, retrospectively report on what you should have done and the quality that you've given to the client. Like the amount of wasted energy and time, whereas if you were tracking it properly, as you mentioned, you'd know where you are. That's, I guess, the whole point of the discussion, really, isn't it?
And it changes things as well. Like, it's quite interesting. So we have a lot of the main contractors we're working with. What now they're doing is they can, and the clients, they automate the tracking of these deliverables. What that does is when someone, that isn't the primary goal, just what I'm about to say, but when someone then comes, this is the work that I completed in the month, they can go, well, no, not actually. This is what you've really completed. So you can't invoice me all of that. And what they then, as a result, do is the designer or that specialist goes back and they have to deliver the information. They can't get away with not delivering and doing the work that they were actually getting paid to do. And what's interesting is I'm now getting some of them coming to me and they're going, I think you've caused us a problem.
Yeah.
Because they now know what we're doing and what we're not doing. And we need to know whether we're doing what we should be doing. So can you help us? And some can see that as a bad thing. Fundamentally, what it means is that company and these firms are now saying, I need to get my house in order because the ones I'm contracted to can actually control.
They know what they're getting or should be getting.
For a change, they know. And I think that has so many implications on the industry, from trust to collaboration, that I think are, and accountability, that I think are much more profound than adding a robot. To be honest, like if we can just make people accountable to doing the work that they should have been doing, in my opinion, that doubles the productivity of the sector overnight.